Hi guys, John Zombro here with the Lifetime Athlete, and also here today with a brief video that I think you're going to find useful in your training. And today's video is about basic workout shorthand, and particularly that which we use for high intensity training. So first of all, I'll give you a few definitions, and I think you're going to find this very useful. Most of the time when we're doing higher intensity training, we're going to break it up into segments or sections, usually called intervals or repetitions, and that's just because the effort is high enough that there's great benefit in doing so. However, that stated, you can also use interval training for moderate intensity training or low intensity training. So that really just depends on the circumstance that you and your coach are working on. Now, the next thing to explain and help you to get a better understanding of is what's the difference between interval training and repetition training? Well, if we do high intensity interval training, we're placing a predominance of our emphasis on manipulating the rest interval between the work bouts. If, however, we're more interested in those work bouts, we would call this high intensity repetition training, or so the reps that we're doing take precedence. And so you can call this hit or hurt depending upon whether you're emphasizing intervals or repetitions. But here's how basic workout shorthand functions for all of these things, and I'm going to give you a few examples across different types of sports or training. We generally will have sets, reps, some type of distance or load at a given effort or intensity or pace with a rest break. And so that's how we write this in shorthand form, and it helps you whether you're programming your own training or communicating with your coach. Really easy, one quick statement, and everybody knows what to do and how to execute the workout properly. So here's the first example. If we take a runner, let's say that runner is going to be doing 2 sets of 4 reps of 400 meters. They're going to run at an intensity or a pace of 3K, 3-kilometer race pace, with a 200-meter jog as far as a rest between reps. A 400-meter jog between sets. So between that first and second set, that rest jog will be slightly longer. So this is a great example of hurt, or emphasizing the reps and then adjusting the rest intervals. Now we go to the biker. So on the bike, the cyclist, let's say, is doing 6 times 3 minutes. So it's simply one set of 6 repetitions of 3 minutes, each performed at approximately 180 watts in this example, with about a 45-second rest break. And so this is more of an example of high-intensity interval training where the rest interval is staying fairly fixed, but there may be slight variance in the exact intensity of the rep or work bout. You also notice that we can use different types of shorthand for time, and so the single tick mark is a minute, just like it's a foot in carpentry. The double tick mark is seconds, as in inches in carpentry, or you can write it out this way as well. I typically like to use the tick marks because they're faster, and we can keep the shorthand very short. Now, let's say we're looking at a swimmer. The swimmer's going to be doing one set of 10 times 100 meters. So that's 10 reps of 100-meter distance on a long course pool in about 120 on a 2-minute send-off. So what a send-off interval is when we basically have the swimmer or the athlete go every 2 minutes. So they're looking at a pace clock. And so they're going to try to finish the rep around the 120, but regardless, they're going to get, give or take, 40 seconds of rest and then go again on the 2-minute send-off. Just another way of quantifying the workout. Now if we go to circuit training, and let's say we have an athlete who's going to do 3 rounds or 3 circuits of 8 reps each of different exercises, using about 75% of their 1 repetition max for each exercise. at an RIR, or repetitions in reserve, of 3. So what this means is they're going to do roughly 8 reps. They're shooting for 8 reps, and that's going to depend on how they're feeling and, again, how close they got to this number, 75% of their 1 rep max weight. And then repetitions in reserve 3 means they've got 3 reps approximately left in the tank when they stop the exercise. And again, these give you some parameters to work with. And then our rests, also, we're going to change those up. So 30 seconds between each exercise in this 8 exercise circuit, or excuse me, 8 repetition circuit, depending upon how many exercises we establish. And then 3 minutes between the rounds. And so the rounds would be each circuit number 1, 2, or 3. Now the final example might be if we're doing straight sets and maybe more of a strength training model, and this is the classic 5x5, so doing 5 sets of 5 repetitions. This time the weight's at about 85% of 1 repetition maximum. For the working sets, there may be some warm-up sets that we don't list here, at an RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, of approximately 9 out of 10, or 90% of maximum. So that's a fairly high working effort. We're going to take approximately 5-minute rests between these sets because they are very taxing and we want maximum quality. So those are just some examples of how you can use basic workout shorthand. And if I review it really quickly, we just look at sets, if there are multiple sets, times reps of a distance or load at an effort or intensity with some rest breaks. And by sketching that out, you can communicate with yourself, with your teammates, and with your coach more effectively and get more out of your training. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for being with me. Until next time, this is Coach Jay-Z signing off from the Lifetime Athlete, where you can become and stay hard to kill.